President William Samoei Ruto has told off the President of the United States, Donald Trump, in regards to their intent to review the relationship between USA and Kenya. Apparently, there is a bill in the Senate that seeks to review US relations with other African countries, especially Kenya. You all know that during the reign of Joe Biden, William Ruto was the darling, the apple of an eye to the USA. I've always mentioned on this channel that he was a puppet. He allowed the LGBTQ, the GMO, they had signed several treaties. And when William Ruto got the special invitation for a state visit in White House, we saw what happened. William Ruto signed several treaties, including Kenya was allowed to become a non-NATO member. Now, Kenya is set to lose that position because US is saying that their relationship with Kenya will depend on how Ruto relates to the Eastern superpowers. And they are seeking about three things. One, they want to see whether there is any military links and signed deals between the Kenyan military and the Chinese government, Russian government, and Iranian government. They also probing whether Ruto and the closest allies have got any close relationship, close ties in terms of finances and deals with those very countries. They're also seeking to understand the human rights history of Kenya because they say that William Ruto might have used the very secret intelligence report that they gave William Ruto, and William Ruto used that to kidnap, maim, and kill innocent Kenyans during the demonstrations in 2024 and recently Sabasaba and all that. They are also probing whether William Ruto has got links to some outlawed militia like the Rapid Support Forces that is causing mayhem in Sudan with Al-Shabaab and Al-Qaeda. And so they are telling William Ruto, we want to review that, and if we find you culpable, then we are going to sever ties. Now, the other thing that Kenya might lose is the fact that Kenya has always been picked by the US as their closest ally in terms of security, defense, and economy in this region. So Kenya might lose that, and USA might seek to look, and USA might appoint another country and another president. Now, in light of all this, William Ruto has remained adamant and is telling Donald Trump that Kenya is a sovereign state and we will relate with other countries depending on how they relate to us, what we gain from them, not this kind of dictatorship. Now, I want us to listen to William Ruto, but before that, allow me to request you to like and share this video. As you watch it, it promotes the video. Please, if you're watching us for the first time, subscribe and click the notification bell. This is William Ruto.
We have concluded the high-level conversation with China. They have agreed to a reciprocal arrangement between Kenya and China. They have agreed to remove all the tariffs on our tea, on our coffee, on our avocado, and all other agricultural exports. That, I think, is a major breakthrough for us. We are now finalizing the bilateral instruments, and Lee can give us some progress report on that, so that in the next couple of months, we should be able to take advantage of that huge market. It's partly why I have a bit of a problem with some of our friends, but it is what I must do for Kenya. You know, it's in the best interest of Kenya that we get into this market. Some of our friends are complaining that we are doing too much trade with China. Honestly, I mean, you know, when I sat with President Xi I had a very candid conversation, and I told him that Kenya is importing 600 billion of products from China. Yet we are only exporting maybe 300 or 5%, according to Lee. You know, that trade imbalance is serious. And that is the reason why they have opened up their market for our agricultural products. And that is good for Kenya, you know, and that's the right thing to do as somebody who was sent by the private sector to go and negotiate those markets. I thought you gave me instructions to go and negotiate for this one.
We did. We did. And you did a good job at that. So
Yeah.
very grateful.
So we are progressing conversations with India. We haven't quite had a breakthrough with India. We haven't quite, we are very good with where we are with Turkey and Canada.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, William Ruto ran away, I think, by himself. Immediately, Donald Trump was sworn in. He decided, switching allegiance to the Chinese government. And I remember at some point while he was in China, he had rendered his support to the New World Order, something that did not go down well with the US government. But I want to show you that this is just the usual vicious cycle. William Ruto was a very close ally to the US government. The US government installed him to power under the supervision of Meg Whitman. So the regime changes, William Ruto rushes to the Eastern Machination, something that he had ignored before. I remember there was a time when China organized, not China but Russia organized for a Russian African summit. William Ruto declined to go, neither did he even send any representative. Russia tried to woo William Ruto. They even gave William Ruto free fertilizer. But William Ruto, because he was very close to Joe Biden, in fact, just some days before that Russian African summit, the US had sent a delegation, a trade delegation to Kenya to assure them that they would work together, and William Ruto refused completely to go to Russia. So William Ruto did not want anything to do with the Eastern superpower. Now he has gone back. I want to support William Ruto on one thing, and I know Kenyans will support William Ruto. We need to relate to other countries the way they relate with us. If China has removed tariffs on coffee and pineapple and all those things that William Ruto is talking about, well, fair enough. We must do business with them. We've been making noise on this channel that William Ruto should stop being a puppet to a country, because US was dictating the economic and political pace in our country. They choose for us a president, and they want to protect that president. So William Ruto must find a balance, so that if China is giving us a better terms in terms of trade, then so be it. On this, I support William Ruto, because all we know is that USA is also just looking for their interest, nothing more, nothing else. We've seen this before. The only part I disagree with William Ruto is one. William Ruto is now running away from the US because US, as they seek to entrench their system or their interest in the country, just to perpetuate their interest in the country, they are asking William Ruto his role in the 2024 protest, how the police butchered youth. And they are also probing William Ruto whether William Ruto has got some links to the illegal and outlawed militia with the Rapid Support Forces, a militia gang that when you check YouTube and you see what that group is doing to innocent people in Sudan, you not want to relate with them. Yet William Ruto allowed them in the country even to declare and set their government. If there is any role, and I believe this is why William Ruto is running away, I understand that China is giving better terms, but William Ruto is now running away because he's being questioned on his role in human rights, respect and violation. he must account for this. If he gave some stray orders and people were killed, he must account for it. And they must continue probing. This now look at it the way how this vicious circle, goes around. If William Ruto switches and swears allegiance more to the US and the Western powers, they will not probe further the human rights cases of human rights violation. They are using this to scare William Ruto so that William Ruto can, go back to them. You understand what I mean? So even with them, they are not genuine. Even or when all this started, what they do is to issue statements. William Ruto must do this, must respect, just mere rhetorics. So the Western powers must also be very genuine on how they deal with Africa. The problem with China or those Eastern superpowers is that they don't care about whether you are violating human rights. As long as you do business, they give you loan, you use your airport as collateral security. In case you cannot pay, they take it. All they want is exploitation or something. And this is debatable. There's a group of thought that feels, there's a school of thought that feels that China is exploiting Africa. Because we've seen right now there's this China Square where they stock almost everything. And people are arguing that if the Chinese government, if Chinese came to build our infrastructure, especially roads and bridges, let them not engage in other businesses. Some of them, in some countries, engage in hawking. Surely when you engage in hawking, what will the natives of that country do? So they feel it is exploitation. But others said that China has revolutionized the infrastructure of our countries. Sisi tuliona standard gauge railway, the SGR, tuliona Thika Road. I think for the first time we saw super highways because of China when Kibaki turned and started doing real business with the Chinese government. So it is debatable. But they don't care. Whether you kill your people, they will not question you. US will want to perpetuate their interest, but sometimes there is a limit. They will question you, they will call you to order, and that is the difference. But we all know that there is a global economic war between the US and the Chinese government, not just the superpowers. US, Britain, German, all this NATO group on one side, and on the other side we have Iran, Russia, Iraq. So Iran, Russia, and China. So they want to also control us. Ya kwamba your enemy should be our enemy, and your friend should be our friend. And I remember sometimes back Mandela said that we are not going to be engaged in company relationships. That when you have an enemy, you force it on us to be our enemy. No, we must relate with others the way they relate to us. So as to human rights violation, I think the ICC should come and investigate. If it is left in the hands of the US, it will depend on how they relate. If William Ruto switches allegiance, then they stop this so-called probing. I don't know whether you support this, but when and if China is giving us better, terms in terms of trades, then we go. We deal with them. I only want a balanced kind of relationship. You relate with Tanzania, with the US, with Iraq, with Iran, in that capacity. If that will save taxpayers' money, so be it. But on human rights violation, we are not going to hide behind doing business with China to run away from the atrocities that have been meted. So William Ruto has told off the US, we will continue doing business with China. I don't know how this is going to affect William Ruto, but I have a feeling that in 2027, US might not help William Ruto. So it will be William Ruto versus the people of Kenya. Na Kimeumana, what do you think will happen? And I know your guess is as good as mine.